Hey girls! Welcome to Girl Talk. I'm so excited to be with you today. So if you did not just see the beginning of this video, if you can't see, I'm going to tell you what just happened. So a really handsome man came up to me and put a really beautiful ring on my left finger, my left ring finger. So basically that is my husband. And today I'm going to talk to you about something that I think you all might enjoy. I'm going to give you my advice on dating. Yes, you heard me, dating. A very tough subject, but a very fun subject. Okay, let's get started. So as you can see, my dating experience was very successful, but I'm going to give you guys 3 pieces of advice today of what I've learned with dating. So, the first one is to be content, and I will explain that. So before you can even begin dating, you need to be content with who you are as a woman, who you are in the Lord. You need to really love the Lord, and you need the Lord to be the most important thing, because as soon as you get a husband or a boyfriend, that's going to become priority to you. It just happens. It's hard to, it's kind of annoying sometimes when it seems to take precedence over the Lord, but He knows our hearts, and it does happen sometimes, and we repent of that. But so you have to be in the right heart with the Lord before you even think about dating. And there's a verse that I found that really might help you understand this. I love this verse. It's found in Psalm 73, verse 25. And it says, "Whom have I in heaven but you? And I desire nothing on earth but you." So what that basically means is we need to have a mindset of desiring nobody but the Lord. Because yes, let's be honest, for those of you who are single, I'm sure you desire a husband. I'm sure you desire marriage. Marriage is beautiful. I love being married. I will tell you right now, it is just, when they say marital bliss, it seriously is. Like, it's amazing. But I don't want any of you to want that more than the Lord. The Lord knows your desire. He knows you want to be married. He knows you want to date or find a boyfriend and then hopefully a husband from that. But He needs to be what you desire the most, because you can't even begin to love a man until you love the Lord. So just, I encourage you to really, if you don't know the Lord, talk to me about that. Message me, comment. I will talk to you about how you can know the Lord, because it's the most important thing. And my walk with the Lord is just amazing. It's an adventure and it's beautiful. So the Lord is amazing. So please take some time to get to know the Lord, get to know and love Him before you even think about dating. My next piece of advice is be pure. So when you do find that Mr. Right, or maybe you're just kind of looking and you decide to date someone, and even if you don't end up marrying that person, dating is sometimes good. I had one boyfriend that I would really count before my husband Richard, and I was 18 when we dated. We only dated for 5 months. I just graduated from high school. Literally the day he asked me out, I had graduated. So I was very, very young, very fresh out of high school. I didn't date in high school. I mean, I know some people do. I'm not a huge fan, and when I have a daughter, she's not going to date in high school if I have anything to do with it. And I know my husband would agree. I mean, of course, you can't really stop crushes and things like that, but dating in high school, I'm not a fan of it. But I know that I was still a little bit young for my taste too. I was 18, I had just gotten out of high school, and so I feel like I should have waited longer. But someone came around and we started dating, and I very quickly learned that there's a lot I didn't know, and especially about purity. Because when you're dating someone, especially as a Christian, now if you're not a Christian, there's these guidelines, you don't know a lot about the biblical guidelines for purity, and that's okay. But when you're a Christian and you're dating, and you guys are both Christians, the Lord expects purity from you. He expects purity from everyone. But when you're dating, it's especially important to set an example in your purity. And the verse that I love is from 1 Timothy chapter 4, verse 12. It says, "Don't let anyone look down on you because you are young." And that right there tells me, well, even if you're dating in high school, for whatever reason, you're young, but don't let anyone look down on you. But no matter how young you are, here's the second part of the verse. "But set an example for the believers in speech, in conduct, in love, in faith, and in purity." So what that means, that's a lot of meat, but what it means is, when you are dating at a young age or any age, you got to set an example for the believers. Also the non-believers, people who don't know the Lord, need to see that example, but especially for the believers who are looking to you or admiring you. Maybe if you're a youth leader and you have, girls in your youth group that are looking up to you or whatever it may be, or you're mentoring someone, you want to set that example for them by being pure in your dating. And what that means is just making wise decisions. You know, I don't think it's wrong to hold hands and kiss and all that. I mean, but I do think that you need to pray about what your boundaries are, because there is a point where it can become too far and too close to things that are not pure. And so just know that purity is so important. The Lord has standards, and we need to live above reproach and be pure when we're dating. So our last point, my last piece of advice for dating is, and I'm going to share the verse first. It's found in Ecclesiastes chapter 4, verse 12. It says, "Though one may be overpowered, two can defend themselves. A cord of 3 strands is not easily broken." So the last piece of advice that I have is to be Christ-centered in your dating. And the reason I read the verse first is because this is one of my favorite verses with dating. And I can remember the very first date I went on with my husband, Richard, who is amazing. But the very first date we went on, we had a lot of fun. We did hold hands, but of course we were very smart about it. And when we, like at the end of our date, we were kind of just sitting, you know, in my mom's front yard, I believe. We were just sitting there having some fun, you know, talking, basically. Praying, actually. We were praying. And we get to know each other. And this verse came up. And I told him, there's an analogy that I really love. And I told this to Richard. And this has to do with this verse. I love the analogy of a braid. So if those of you, I mean, we're all girls here, so you guys have hair, I'm sure. I have really long, thick hair. So you've probably braided your hair before. So you know that a braid has 3 pieces, right? And so when you're braiding, I'm not very good at it, but I know the concept. When you're braiding, you have to cross the middle over the 2 pieces, and the middle piece holds the 2 together. So that's what this verse is saying, that the cord of 3 strands is not easily broken, that the Lord needs to be that center piece, that center strand of your braid. Because without the Lord holding us together, the pieces of me and my husband, or you and your boyfriend if you're dating, it just doesn't work. The Lord has to be the center. And what that means, a lot of Christians say that Christ should be the center, but they don't explain it. But what it means is that your relationship should be centered around Christ and His will for your life. You should be praying together. You should be in the Word together. And there's another little point. Paul says in one of the Corinthians, I can't remember, but he says that you shouldn't be unequally yoked. And the reason I bring that up is because a lot of times we think it's okay to do missionary dating. Now, I'm not saying that doesn't always work, because sometimes I know stories where it has worked and people have come to know the Lord because of their significant other, and that's amazing. But there's a reason that Paul talks about, you know, being equally yoked. And not, you know, there's a reason why I don't think missionary dating is always a good idea. And that's because how can your relationship be Christ-centered if you're both not on the same, you know, in the same mindset with the Lord? If you're both not following the Lord, how can your relationship have that middle piece holding you together, which is the most important thing. So that's why I believe that when you're looking for someone to spend the rest of your life with, to date and to hopefully marry, you need to find someone who's, you know, the same level of relationship with the Lord, loves the Lord the same as you, if not more. In fact, you know, as women, the man is our spiritual leader. So my husband, we both have a relationship with God, but he, you know, he leads me in the Lord. So you want to find a man who can do that. And so you want to be Christ-centered. It's so very important. And so that's one thing that my husband and I, when we were dating, we really made sure to be. And when we got off track, we were quick to repent and say, Lord, we're sorry. And we would pray and read together the Word, and He would help me understand the Word, because sometimes the Bible, I'm like, wait, what did that say? Because it's just such beautiful writing, and sometimes my mind cannot really comprehend everything, so my husband will explain it. So it's very important to study and get to know the Lord together. So those are my 3 pieces of advice for you about dating. I hope that was helpful. And as always, feel free to ask me any questions or comment down below. And if you are praying for that special someone, I'm going to be praying for you. Just remember to pursue and get to know the Lord so much and find your satisfaction in Him. And I know that person will come, because the Lord knows the desires of your heart. And if you are dating, I will be praying for these 3 pieces of advice to be implemented in your life. Thank you guys so much for watching. I should say, you girls. I love this girl talk with you guys, and I look forward to next time. Have a wonderful day, and God bless. Bye.